Hey everyone, welcome back to Carrots and Olives. Today we are going to fill in a page in my ink sample journal, and we are going to be focusing on just one ink today, so it should be a rather quick video. We're going to be looking at Australis Oak. I haven't used this ink as much yet, but it is on my list to use, and I think it's actually a pretty good color for this time of year. Right now I'm showing you my cover, which is from Galen Leather Company, and this is the Crazy Horse Brown. It pulls and half scratches, and it's really soft and lightweight. So this is what is housing my notebook. And as we go in, we go straight into my grid, which is showing all the inks I've done ink testing with, and Australis Oak is the one we're doing today. So I'm pulling in my Q-tip to get a sample of the ink, and I just make little circles here. You could see the color is really, it's actually quite muted in comparison to everything else on my sheet. I think it's probably on the level of the half moon with dim light, whereas everything else is really vibrant and bright. So I let this dry before I move on, and I'm using my dip pen to name the ink at the very top. I made the decision not to include the brand names on this page. There is one that I messed up on, but overall, I just want to keep the name of the product on this page, and then I will add the brand names when it comes to the details of the testing. So now I'm going to pull out my chromatography paper, and I got this on Amazon. I use about a third of each sheet because I find that the ink doesn't travel as high unless I were to keep it in the water longer. But if I keep it in the water longer, then the ink will practically disappear and you won't be able to see as much color. So you kind of have to find the right time frame to dip it in water. Now, before I dip, I do have to add a couple of lines at the bottom of the page, and then I clip it, and then I add the water, and I dip it in the water for about a minute. And as you can't see it in here, but as I dip it in, it will start to travel, and then I will pull it out. And you can surprisingly see that there's blue. Very unexpected. But here is the dry swatch of the Australis Oak, and it's this pretty brown golden color. I do find that it's very light in a fine, so this ink would probably be best in a larger nib fountain pen. So right now I am dividing the page, and this is the top portion that I'm going to be working on today. I usually draw faces, but in celebration of the spooky month, I decided to create a cat on a broomstick, which is very not me, and I guess I thought I wanted to just be having fun. So I did that. I am tracing with a Colorase pencil, which is a pencils or a brand of pencils that can come in multiple colors and does have an eraser and is erasable. So that's a nice feature, and to be able to use different colors is nice depending on what you're going to be inking your artwork with. So as we continue through, I'm just making the final touches, and then I'm going to erase my markings and get into inking. I decided rather than using an actual fountain pen, I would just use my dip pen, and I felt that it was easier to do it this way because, first of all, I just inked up a bunch of pens, and this color was not one of them used. And then second, I wanted to see how well or how easy it would be to draw with a dip pen. So this is the new dip pen I got from Amazon, and it works really well. I do find that this ink doesn't coat the dip pen as well as some other inks. I don't know if it's because it feels like it's watered down or it's not as viscous, but I'm going in and inking. So when I go through inking, I always date the page at the top, and then I start off with my basic test. So I will do downstrokes, side strokes, up and down, and then a smear test, and then I'll just write a little blurb about the ink. Usually the blurb is or has a lot to do with the pen I'm using, but in this case, since I'm just using a dip pen, it's very, I guess, lackluster in this case. So as I go through, I also decide to do the water tests and then the 1x, 2x, 3x test. And it was hard to do it with this pen, as you will see, because the nib is so fine. As I was spreading the ink was tearing, or the pen was tearing the paper. And so I find that if I am going to do this again, I think I need to use a wider nib pen. So either my Kakimori dip pen or some other like thicker nib pen to see how the ink lays on top of each other after it dries the first, second, third time. And then I try to go in and try to erase that blue ink that came through from the other page a while back. And after that, I go into inking my drawing. So here, that was the best part. I do find it's a little difficult to ink a drawing with pens that are bigger than a medium nib, and I think that's one of the reasons why I preferred using my dip pen. And I think I might do this moving forward, is use my fountain pen for the writing portion and then use my dip pen for the drawing portion, so that all of my images aren't are kind of the same, and they won't be as the lines won't be too difficult to create, especially with small detail. Overall, I think the ink is very pretty. It is definitely not waterproof. It does show up more on the lighter side, as you could tell with the smear test at the top. And I would say that my 1x, 2x, 3x is not very well represented here, so don't pay attention to that. But I'm pretty sure because the ink is so light, with the fountain pen, that if you were to layer over it, you would get a darker ink. And I have to make sure that I add my dried up chromatography test. And luckily I still have room. I completely forgot about this until the very end. And now that I have a little bit of space, I'm going to add that to the page. And there you have it. Pretty much done. Let me know if you guys are keeping an ink journal and what kind of tests you do. I'm always interested in trying to improve my ink testing and adding to it. But if you have any questions, please let me know in the comments below, and I will catch you in the next video. Bye.